Some poems do not just describe, they accuse. Evidence of Genocide, by Zulfikar Ghose is one such poem. It is a voice that refuses to stay silent, a witness to the destruction of humanity. Zulfikar Ghose is a Pakistani-born poet, novelist, and critic. His writings often explore themes of identity, displacement, and the violence of modern civilization. Text of the original poem, Evidence of Genocide, by Zulfikar Ghose. The stream too has changed since I was born, it no longer moves in a steady flow, but slows to a trickle and almost stops. The villagers who drank from it before have all moved away, or else they're dead. The trees are gone, and the birds no longer fly to sing songs they sang only yesterday. Now the air is heavy with the stench of death that rise from the fields and empty homes. In the village where my mother lies buried, there is desolation and too much quiet. Her house stands shuttered, the rooms inside are empty. Weeds grow higher in the yard, and no one comes to trim them down to size. The village is different from the days before, when people stopped to chat in the bazaars, children played cricket on the flattened earth, and women washed clothes in the nearby stream. But now there is no sound to penetrate the eerie calm, and if you go farther out, you will see smoke from 100 fires, and hear the soldiers' laughter and their shouts. In the jubilation in the death of some, whose names they never knew, or cared to know. Yes, there is ample evidence of genocide. But no one seems to care, or take the blame. The killers roam free, in fields and mountains, while the victims perish, faceless and unnamed. In this poem, he looks directly at one of the darkest truths of human history, the cruelty that people inflict on one another, and the silence that allows it to happen. The poem describes scenes of massacre, villages destroyed, bodies abandoned, and no one left to tell the story. The speaker becomes a witness, collecting fragments of truth, the smoke, the ashes, the silence, all of which become the evidence of what human beings have done. Ghose uses simple but haunting language. The evidence in the poem is not a legal proof, it's moral proof, emotional proof. It shows that genocide is not only a physical act of killing, it's the death of compassion, the murder of conscience. Main themes in the poem are violence and human cruelty. The poem exposes the horrifying brutality of war and genocide, how human beings can destroy others without mercy or moral sense. Loss of humanity. Ghose shows how people lose compassion when they become numb to violence. The victims are reduced to statistics rather than seen as human lives. Injustice and silence. The poem criticizes the world's silence and indifference toward the suffering of innocent people. It asks why humanity watches but does not act. Memory and evidence. The title itself, Evidence of Genocide, suggests that the poem serves as a witness, preserving memory so that the crimes of violence are not erased or denied. Colonial and political oppression. There's also an indirect comment on political power, oppression, and how governments justify mass killings in the name of order or nationalism. Meaning, interpretation. The poem is a powerful protest against mass killings and human rights violations. Ghose uses vivid and shocking imagery to make readers feel the pain of the victims and recognize the moral failure of a world that allows genocide to happen. It's not just about one event, it's a universal cry against all acts of organized violence in human history. The tone of the poem is grim, bitter, and accusatory. Ghose speaks as if addressing both the oppressors and the silent spectators. The mood created is one of shock, grief, and moral outrage. Zulfikar Ghose uses vivid and disturbing imagery, descriptions of ruined lands, dead bodies, and silence, to force the reader to confront the horror directly. His language is harsh but poetic, filled with irony and emotion. The contrast between beauty and horror highlights the tragedy of human cruelty. In short, Evidence of Genocide is more than a poem, it's a document of human failure. It asks us, when we see injustice, when we hear the cries of the innocent, do we speak, or do we stay silent? Zulfikar Ghose reminds us that silence can also be a crime. The poem stands as a witness, a reminder that every act of cruelty leaves behind its evidence, not only in history, but in our hearts. If you found this explanation helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more meaningful English literature analyses. Let's keep poetry alive, and let it keep us human.